time to set. So our first item is to accept the minutes from our last meeting. Those are our October meeting. I will entertain a motion to accept the minutes as read.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Second.
And this is, the first item is a continuation of a public hearing to review a notice submitted by Newly Energy for a solar voltaic and battery storage, located at 66 North Union Street. At our last meeting, we asked, Newly that we would like to have a peer review. And since that time, Jack, would you like to tell them what is your peer review?
Yes. We're having a peer review of the stormwater plan that they've submitted. And we're hiring an engineering firm from Williams.
Now,
Gunpowder Associates. And so we've submitted all the information to us by Newly, and they're going over it. So we'll have a second opinion, independent of the original. And then go on to probably having to modify their plan. I would guess certainly insert more conditions. So we haven't received it yet, so we're going to continue this here. And so, and we have to decide what New Year's Eve.
a Christmas Eve.
Why not?
Yeah, why not? Why not?
Oh, look.
I think we will, if it's all right with you two, it'll be the or that
Yeah.
18th or so. So we will continue, just to give you particulars of this, Newly is obligated to pay for this consultant, which is a considerable amount of money. But they were very upfront the minute I told them that we had contacted Gutlow, and they sent a check. The check went into a special fund in our account. And Gutlow, once they were able to set that check, then they're able to start peer review. So, so we don't have any real discussion for tonight, except that Ed Stockman had sent in a number of questions about that he had asked, and unfortunately, I forgot my glasses tonight. But I sent those questions on to Newly, and they did respond to those questions. So these are their responses. And if I can find the questions,
It was quite extensive.
they are very, but I thought at least give people some idea of some of the things that were asked. And I shouldn't have it right here somewhere. This is from Gutlow. Tell me, are these the questions from Ed?
Yes.
All right, well, perhaps for the audience's sake, these are the responses from you.
They really did set us off.
Yeah. So I just got them today.
Oh, yes.
Okay. So why don't we go over a few of the questions, because Ed Stockman asked a lot of questions. A few of his questions and a few of the responses for the audience. Because our next, we have another notice of intent on vote. Alden Lane, we have scheduled for 7 o'clock, but between now and then, we don't have anything else scheduled. So why don't you get out? You have a question?
Yeah, yes, on the notice of intent, is from Newly to, is it from the North Union Street LLC?
The new notice of intent I'm talking about?
Yeah, it was issued by New Leaf.
Newly, not the,
No.
okay.
Right.
I have a question.
Were we also going to ask them to do the soil survey?
Yes.
Well, so far we don't have.
We don't have that either.
That's true.
So we're getting a soil survey as well. So, one of the things they mentioned, or had mentioned, was that the, how does that work?
Okay, you,
I've heard that. Does that work? One of the things that, Ed brought up is that the scale of the map was, large enough. One to 50 scale maps, we can actually see details that are required. That's one thing.
well, let, do this respond to that. He has the answers.
I can't. I can see this. I can read it.
He started the answer.
Here you go.
Rob, just to put you up to date, we have contracted someone, to peer review.
Okay.
Really, and so that's in the works, and that probably won't be done for another month. There's a lot of attention on the weather.
Mhm.
But Shaliq has provided the funding for that.
Okay.
And, so what we're doing right now is, Ed Stockman raised a number of questions that he wanted New Leaf to answer. And so New Leaf has answered those questions, and so we're using some of the time to read the question to you and to hear New Leaf's response.
I have to check. I have a question here. That first question, to recap, was why is the scale 1 inch to 50 feet? That did find workable. And their response is the scale suggested by Mass DEP is a guideline, not a requirement. Solar projects are typically easier to review at a larger scale due to their large size, relatively simple layout, and repetitive nature. Many rows of similar scale, a similar solar ranking. Additional detail has been provided on sheets C41 for those areas of site that include more work. If peer reviewer requests reduce the field line, you need to provide it.
Use your own for personal.
Okay. On the grading and erosion control plan dated 10/17/25 by New Leaf Energy, it is impossible to follow the BBW boundary in some areas because they are obscured by written information on the plans. Will this be corrected so the commission will know where the boundaries, borders of jurisdiction areas are actually located? New Leaf response. New Leaf can make adjustments to the labels on the final plans to avoid obscuring the wetlands boundary. It should be noted that the wetlands boundary is also depicted on C1.0, C2.0, C3.0, C3.1, and the detail on C4.1, and can be cross-referenced by the plan. Number 3, according to Mass DEP's technical comments by file number blah, 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 there is no legally binding delineation. How will New Energy address this issue? New response. That comment was in reference to the ORAD that has been issued for the site back in 2019 and has since expired. A new wetlands delineation has been performed by GCA Geo-Environmental Inc. and has been submitted with this application. If the NOI is approved, this delineation will become the legally binding delineation. Number 4, typically wetland boundary flags are numbered in the field, and those numbered flag locations are depicted on the plans issued to the commission. For further review by the commission members or their designee, numbered wetland flag locations need to be shown on the plan. Numbered flags are not illustrated on the plans dated 10/17/25. Will this oversight be corrected? New Leaf response. Flag IDs are shown in the wetlands delineation included in the application and can be added to the plan. Number 5, No construction phasing is proposed for the entire project. The removal of all vegetation and associated soil disturbance from the process will expose 20 plus acres of soil to the forces of both wind and water erosion. Wetlands are mostly located down gradient of the areas to be totally cleared of all vegetation. Extensive grading is proposed to recreate the pre-construction drainage patterns. The headwater jurisdictional wetlands adjacent to construction areas directly contribute water to Meadow Brook, a tributary of Westfield River. Jurisdictional wetlands are very close to the construction area. As a result of the above-mentioned factors, will the construction of this project be phased? Will a construction phasing plan be submitted to the commission prior to posting a public hearing and prior to approval by the commission? New leaf response. The construction schedule for this project is not full phasing of the project, but it will include phasing of disturbed areas. A national discharge elimination system permit will be obtained prior to construction, which will include the creation of the storm water pollution prevention plan. As part of this, no more than 5 acres will be allowed to be unstabilized at any point in time. As earthworking activities, i.e. stump removal, are completed, they will be temporarily or permanently stabilized using straw, wood strand / mulch, erosion control blankets, or seeding. If the commission chooses, the SWPPE and construction erosion and sediment control plans can be provided to the commission as part of the building permit application prior to construction. Number 6, the cleanest water discharge from a detention basin has been modified to trap sediment during the construction phase of the project. Is located on the surface of the detained water in the basin. How will the detention basin be modified so the cleanest of these suspended solids are discharged from the sediment trap detention basins? A drawing detail shows basin modifications should be submitted to the commission for their review. New leaf response. Construction phase sediment traps will employ different outlet structures to ensure water is filtered and or settled prior to discharge. Detail was added to the plans to depict the outlet structures. Please see detail 8 on sheet C 5.1. The outlet will consist of a stone check dam wrapped in filter fabric with a fine washed aggregate base. This filters and allows the discharge from the trap, allowing solids to settle out and be filtered prior to discharge. Number 7, per the plan stated 10/17/25, the detention / sediment trap basins and discharge into the buffer zones of the jurisdiction wetlands. How will the basin outlet structures be modified so the discharge stormwater does not scour any road buffer zones soil into the adjacent wetlands, thus filling wetlands? New leaf response. Riprap plunge can be added to the defined plans. These are shown on detail 3 on sheet C 5.1 and will be added to plans view sheets as well. Number 8, test pits at each proposed detention base location will assess the soil texture and suitability of detention base construction. Will test pit data be submitted to the commission prior to the closing of the public hearing and any approvals? New leaf response. Yes, this data is being collected and will be provided to the Conservation Commission as soon as possible, likely before the December public hearing. Number 9, how will the grades change after the vegetation is totally removed and the site is graded, will post-construction grading plans be submitted to the commission? New leaf response. The grade change after vegetation removal will be minimal. After removal of tree stumps, the holes will be filled with adjacent materials and graded level surrounding topography. While this may result in localized disturbance, it will not be significant enough to change the overall grade or stormwater flow paths. As-built plans can be provided to the commission following construction if the commission requests. Number 10, infiltration basins capture stormwater runoff and are constructed over permeable soils. It is essential that the test pits be undertaken in the area or the basin to ascertain permeability of the soil. They typically have a high failure rate due to improper siting and insufficient maintenance. Will test pit data be provided to the commission prior to closing public hearing and the issuance of permit, so that the commission has confidence in the siting process for the basin? New leaf response. Yes, test pits are scheduled in the vicinity of the infiltration basin, and the data will be provided to the Conservation Commission as soon as possible, likely before the December public hearing. Number 11, will a DEP stormwater checklist per the stormwater handbook be provided to the commission? New leaf response. This checklist was included in the original NOI application. Number 12, the removal of trees in the buffer zone of jurisdictional wetlands will alter the adjacent wetlands in various ways. Reduced shading will impact wetland ecology and alter soil and water temperatures. These factors could have a devastating impact on the wetlands ecosystem. Will the shading plan be revisited and modified so as not to alter adjacent wetland? New shading plans need to be submitted to the commission for their review. New leaf response. The shading plan depicts the shade anticipated from the forest edge as it relates to shading solar panels. Areas where the shadows encroach on wetlands areas actually demonstrate a significant amount of shading. The remaining trees will still pass from the wetland area. While the reduction in shading is possible, the 50-foot buffer from the proposed tree clearing to wetlands resource areas should mitigate this significantly. Oh, I'm sorry, one more page. Two more questions. Section 5.3, vernal pool buffer zone of the NOI introduction states no impacts are proposed within 100 foot of the potential vernal pools. Some tree clearing is proposed within the 200 foot buffer zone, but a minimum of 130 foot buffer will remain to the nearest activity. No ground disturbance, grading, or stump removal will be performed in this area. Section 5.4. Vernal pools of the NOI introduction states no disturbance within any vernal pool source areas are proposed. The area of the potential vernal pool habitat needs to be delineated in the field and shown on the plan so the commission can assess whether or not construction activities submitted adjacent to the vernal pool will impact them. When will this information be submitted to the commission for their review? New leaf response. The potential vernal pool area is depicted on the plans. It is located within wetland B, and it is labeled on sheet C 1.0. This vernal pool was investigated by GCA during the wetlands delineation. Per their report, the area identified as potential vernal pool appears to be a former livestock watering hole with a natural inlet and permanently flowing outlet, and therefore would not meet the NHESE certification criteria. 14. When will temporary sediment traps be deployed? Will their location be depicted on the plans? New leaf response. The locations of permanent detention basins will be utilized for sediment traps. Other locations on the site may also be utilized, but the exact location will be determined by the civil contractor performing the work, as they will need to be located in conjunction with construction work being performed and the means and methods proposed to complete the project.
Does anyone in the audience want to either respond or add anything to the discussion? We have some time until 7 or other. Yes.
Yes, Lawrence Young, I'm a father of Lonnie Glory Brand. And, first of all, those are great questions. I really appreciate the thought and effort that went into those.
Those were Ed Stockman's
Ed
questions.
Stockman.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
thank Ed.
I am thanking that. Thank you for doing that. But, you know, almost regardless of, the results of these studies, we oppose the project for a number of reasons, most of which are stated in my letter of opposition dated October 22nd. But just primarily, there's the danger of water and ground contamination if there were to be a fire, a lithium ion fire. And of course, the loss of critical habitat and deforestation, which I think is not a wise way to pursue the energy goals for, and I'm all in favor of solar, but seems like it needs to be a better way. Also, there are a number of bylaws that seek to protect the environment, specifically bylaws 4.0.2, 4.4.2, and 9.0, all bylaws that deal with the environment, among other things. Those are listed in my letter as well. And also, I think one problem that the planning board seemed to have with the project is that it's their stated intent, that is, New Leaf or the LLC that operates it, to sell it, basically flip it. So I'm very concerned with whatever obligations, requirements you put on them is going to be transferred to another owner. And I think that's an issue as to whether their ability and their willingness to agree to these things. Also, I would say that the planning board, who ultimately has the ability to approve the project, may be very sympathetic to the views of the Conservation Committee, as well as the Board of Health, and in combination, perhaps they reject the project, if that is your recommendation. Well, also, one of the bylaws quotes Article 97 of the Massachusetts State Constitution, which seems to give an independent right of action to protect the forest. There is litigation pending. I understand it's going to be taken up with the appeals court fairly soon. I spoke with Mike Hugo from the Massachusetts Association of Health Boards, who informed me of that litigation as well. I'm waiting for him to send me the citation. But they're dealing with the Article 97 issue as well, the right to protect the forest, among other things. And so for those reasons, I oppose it, regardless of what the studies find out. So in addition to whatever you can glean from that, I would oppose it on all the grounds I stated.
Mark, I have a question for you. You cited a couple of bylaws. Are you talking about town zoning bylaws?
Yes. Yeah.
Can you state those, please?
Oh, yeah, well, there's my letter of opposition,
For which you've submitted already.
yes, 4.0.2.
Okay.
4.4.2 and 9.0, that's the one that deals with, solar ground mounted photovoltaic project. Yeah, and, again, one of them, 4.4.2 actually, quotes the Massachusetts Constitution, Article 97. So I feel like that argument has really not been put forward. At least I haven't come across it yet, although this is not my area, I'm no expert by any means, but, I haven't heard the state constitutional argument put forward yet. And if, that may supersede any statute or agency regulation, within the state. And I think there are many, many concerns here, concerning both the Board of Health and the Conservation Committee, especially with regard to the water, habitat, just deforestation generally. Because of the use of lithium ion battery, in the event of a fire, I don't think they'll be able to put it out if it's batteries. They may just let it burn. They do try to put it out. I don't know what chemicals would be used. There's no public water supply there. So I don't know how they could put it out if it was a runaway lithium ion battery fire. Not to mention all the contaminants that might be released with such a fire. So although the likelihood of may be unlikely, but if it happens, it's catastrophic and it's long, long lasting.
Thank you. Thank you for spending your.
Thanks.
We just have a few more minutes. Anyone else would like to?
Are there locations where the test holes are gonna be? The soil samples?
I don't know.
We haven't gotten that far yet. We're just now hiring a consultant to do those.
Okay, because from my end, it would be beneficial to put down installation tarps for these curing concrete, so it'll keep the ground freezing. That way the soil is available. That's
Yeah, I'm curious, if it's standard practice to allow cutting in the buffer zones. Especially given a project of this size, where it seems like modifications could be easily made to avoid that. Seeing as this already stands to have pretty significant impacts, I thought the question about the shade and the temperature changes was an excellent one. Is this a kind of accepted practice? It's
No.
curious as to why they exist. Okay.
It's not accepted practice, that's what happens outside.
Mhm.
In some cases, the buffer zone, the activity's not in the buffer zone,
Mhm.
it potentially could affect resource area.
Okay, got it. And I was also curious about, let's say this project is approved and it moves forward. What safeguards are in place to monitor what happens during and after the construction? Are there site walks? Are you monitoring the wetlands and the vernal pools and ensuring that these practices are followed?
Those would be conditions we put in our order of conditions.
Okay.
And we've done that in the past, where
Okay.
we've asked for construction people to let us know when they're doing various things.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, and my last question is, this construction stands to make a lot of noise, a lot of vibration. I am far from an environmental expert. I'm curious as to whether there have been studies about whether that can have an effect on the species in existence there already.
Have no place to go.
Yeah, yeah.
That's it.
Mhm.
All those species will be gone and fenced out.
Well, I'm thinking also of what lives in the wetlands and the vernal pools. It seems like that would potentially travel and have an effect.
I think they have to define what, are you speaking of wildlife species?
Yeah.
The impact on wildlife species? I think we have to have a study of what's exactly there. From what I understand, that vernal pool is not really a certified vernal pool. It's probably heard in the discussion, so that really can impact that. And, It's hard to answer that.
Sure. And has any study been done about what is in existence there? Have wildlife studies been done?
Will they? Will they be done?
Will it be done? It seems like a good idea.
Yeah, cameras.
Right, we could put up trail cameras, definitely.
I would point out just that I believe the east side of the property, like, is borders on quote unquote critical habitat. As I mentioned in my letter, unrealistic to think that the critical habitat is just gonna stop on a line on the back. So, I would think that all the, considerations and concerns of critical habitat, may well apply to projects.
Those are good points.
And as a little context, I did call and inquire about what species lives there, and that is not information they disclose to protect that species, but I was curious, are we talking something that could be heavily affected? I guess you can pay to have the project reviewed, but it's thousands of dollars, and they can tell you if there could be an impact there.
And who did you contact?
It's not in my notes off the top of my head. I can certainly send that to you. It's just, I've called so many people, I couldn't tell you at this point, but I can get that for you.
So I. Sure.
Excuse me. Hi, Judy. I'm sorry. It's a little bit hard. This is Brandon Smith from New Leaf Energy. It's a little hard to follow. But I'm wondering if I can jump in here on a couple things.
Sure, this is Brandon from Newsy. Go ahead.
Yeah, thanks. So as far as endangered species go, we've screened the site. So one of the reasons that we are here for this site is because it is not mapped for any threatened or endangered species. We check right with natural heritage on the state level, as well as U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services on the federal level. And this site is a good one. It is not mapped for any critical or priority habitats. So that's one of the reasons that, we've moved forward on this site. Really the only species flagged here, which is flagged across the entire state and really across the entire eastern seaboard, is the northern long-eared bat. And that just is a time of year restriction on tree cutting, which we'll adhere to. But other than that, there are no endangered species. We've inquired with natural heritage at the state level and U.S. Fish and Wildlife. So just wanted to put that out there that we have already done our diligence in that regard.
I don't know.
Better if you speak up so they can hear you.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I noticed that the habitat bordering on the eastern side is delineated, designated as critical habitat. There's also, I would suggest that there are possibly other species, such as the ruffed grouse, which is in my letter of opposition of October 22nd, and also state that it has a special designation concern by the Massachusetts Department of the Environment. And there's also the possibility of the hog turtle.
Very rare.
Yeah, yes, excuse me, bog turtle. And we've also the monarchs as well. There are other species that are mentioned in my letter, so I'm not sure whether Rob's property was ever actually assessed. Same manner that the established right next door. So I'm not sure of the process there. So what has already been assessed next to it seems to indicate that part of this property at least is likely critical habitat, quote unquote.
Linda, did you get the mic?
I'm hoping I can get these words out the way I want them to, that's not gonna happen, none of this. I was sent an email that I believe, um, these two received from, Anna, that had some video information, and a lot of discussions from the Commonwealth. And one of the first things that popped up on this paper, I printed out one part, and it's all about the trees. And most people don't realize how much climate work one single urban tree does. Imagine what ours do. But it has some very good information. One mature canopy tree or 35 young canopy trees, or 151 street trees, and 465 new large landscape trees. That's all well and good, but the loss of one tree is not gonna be made up by planting some grasses. It could be. The forests, provide 53% of US water supplies. If you cut the forest, you cause droughts, water crises occur. Logging degrades watershed everywhere, no matter what. Planted trees never surpass carbon accumulation of larger trees allowed to grow. And ultimately, we need forests and solar. I read through the letter that appeared in the Post, and I must say, I haven't heard anybody say we are opposed to solar. We are opposed to solar that is going to devastate this much area with so many other possible impacts, to our aquifers, the possibility of fire, the loss of habitats for all kinds of creatures. There may not be any information on a study. That doesn't mean that the habitats would not be devastated, or that there aren't creatures who reside there. It doesn't mean that there aren't those creatures. It just means there has been no threat to the habitat to make them be inspected and discovered. There could be a lot of creatures that have not been discovered, but once we start ripping out all the rest of the habitats, then we're gonna find all the creatures there.
I think we are.
Can't get my words out, but
So I don't know if our next, the hearing will be continued until December 17th, which is the third Wednesday, right? I said April, but I just looked at my calendar and it's the 17th. So, and at that point, we are hoping that we will have your review done, because that will shed a lot of light. I thank all of you for your comments, and we appreciate your interest, and we would take them into account in our decision making, but we're not there yet. So we are going to move on because we have a notice of intent we need to work for 15 Alden Lane. Okay.
Thank you, Ron.
Thank you.
Bye.